So I saw an equation a while ago that said new technology plus old ways of working equal expensive ways of working, right? So I think that, you have to really start with partnering with the business, understand where the pain points are and what's in it for them. And you have to meet people where they are. But if you involve them early and you try and address where there's opportunities and what's going to resonate with them, I think that that helps with the change.
Welcome, everybody, to CIO Unscripted, today featuring Mary Wyderski. She's joining us from Chicago, the Chicagoland area, I should say. Mary's been a CIO across a range of industries for, I'm not going to say quite a while, because that would imply she's old when she's really quite young. Believe me, I know Mary. She's extremely young. I think she had her first CIO role when she was 7 years old. So with that, we'll get started, everybody. And I'll start with some general questions and we'll see how it goes. So Mary, talk to our audience. Explain your career in technology leadership, really how it started, how it progressed, and some of the memorable things that have happened along the way.
Sure. So I actually started my career in the finance and accounting space. So I was an accountant for probably 7 years, and I was working at a manufacturing organization, and we were implementing a manufacturing system at the time, and I was asked to lead that project. And so I found it pretty interesting to lead that project. We went from being a paper-based manufacturer to implementing basically a full bill of materials. And one night I was working late and I was analyzing some data, and I realized that the part that we sold the most of, we were making no money on. And so it just clicked in me like, oh my gosh, this is fascinating now that we have this system and all of this data in there to be able to get this information. And so after I completed that project, one of the partners at the CPA firm that I worked at asked me if I wanted to join him in a startup business implementing ERP systems. And so I didn't really know a lot about technology. I was an accountant. I thought, well, this is interesting. But I took a leap of faith and I left my accounting career to implement ERP systems.
What ERP systems were you implementing? A range of them or one specifically?
We were doing a couple, so I don't want to date myself, but one was PeopleSoft.
Sure.
Which is no longer around. And then also Lawson Infor.
Okay. Like so, these are like the enterprise scale ERP systems.
Yes. I did that for about 3 years. And the company that I was working a project at, they asked me to join as their VP of financial systems. And at the time I thought, I really enjoy consulting. You don't have to be involved in any of the, culture or drama. I just really liked going and disconnecting after I left. But after about a year, they wore me down. And so I took a role there. And I spent a large portion of my career there. It was professional service industries. And we were in the construction industry, and we just started working on transformation. And I love that. So I was there about 17 years. And after that, it was a company that was owned by private equity. And we were sold. And so then after being somewhere for 17 years, it was kind of scary. And my career had progressed, right? So I started out as the VP of systems, and I took over the whole entire IT. So I had an opportunity to learn about infrastructure, and then eventually became the CIO.
That transition, I always wonder about this. So you came in really more up at the application level, business process level, financial systems. How did you pick up everything you need to know to be a CIO where you've got everything? data, infrastructure, analytics, connectivity, all the other parts and pieces that go into a successful CIO career?
Yeah, so I think I picked a lot of the technical part of it along the way, right? Just participating in, infrastructure conversations about how our systems are we going to keep them in the cloud, or are we going to be on
Okay.
premise? So I learned a lot of that along the way. But I think really my financial background helped me be able to talk about business.
Mm.
So really, I think that had a lot to do with my success, was that I wasn't just focusing on tech, I was focusing on business problems. And that seemed to really connect with the other leaders, which then was a good trajectory for me.
Okay, so as you think on your career, one of the things that's interesting to me is how do you think the role has changed of a technology leader, CIO, CTO, whatever, VP of IT, et cetera? How's that changed during the arc of your career? What have you seen? What's changing the most? What's driving those changes?
Yeah, so I think I would say that you no longer have to be the smartest technology person in the room. You really have to be able to create an environment where you can achieve things through your leadership and partner and collaboration, and really just relationship building, because that's how you really create transformation.
Okay, so along those lines, you've mentioned transformation a couple of times. Are those the types of roles that you enjoy, or the projects you enjoy where things you're trying to implement some type of change?
Definitely. When I think about transformation, I think about improving lives. So, being able to help somebody do something that, is long and tedious. And if we can change that and improve, their job satisfaction and what they really enjoy doing, or just from a personal standpoint, helping people, but then also help the organization. Because when you implement transformational change, you're able to grow your revenue, reduce your costs, create efficiency. So that's been a big part of my focus.
So along that way, what are some of the lessons you've learned about implementing change? Because oftentimes that is getting people to change their processes, their behaviors, their thinking patterns, whatever. In my experience, that is a bigger issue than the technology itself. So what are some things you've learned along the way that help you pull that off?
Sure. So I saw an equation a while ago that said new technology plus old ways of working equal expensive ways, ways of working, right? So I think that, you have to really start with partnering with the business, understand where the pain points are and what's in it for them. And you have to meet people where they are. But if you involve them early and you try and address where there's opportunities and what's going to resonate with them, I think that that helps with the change. And I also went to quite a few CIO leadership, I don't know what you want to call them, seminars put on by someone named Niel. And he basically taught us at those leadership seminars that you have to have people still want to talk to you at the end of the day after you've run a project. So you want to stay calm and make sure that people are going to want to partner with you after the project's over.
So no bullying, no bulldozering to get
Nope,
your way.
none of that to get your way.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that was a lesson that was hard learned for me through just the worst failure of my career. Anyway, so I've always enjoyed talking with you, Mary. You have such a fascinating perspective on life. As you think through your career, is there something you've done where you say, that was really, what I pulled off was really quite remarkable? Meaning we did a good job. Not you did a good job, but we delivered something that was really pretty impressive, that you kind of say, I think that was one of the best things we've ever done.
I would probably say building out a team.
Okay.
So really pulling together people that complement each other and work well together. think if you have a really strong team, you can accomplish anything. And so I think that as I reflect on my career, it's really building the team that
Okay.
has been incredibly remarkable. And then, the results just speak for themselves because people have the energy, they're bringing it, and they want to be there. And I have a thing that I work on my team with, and it's this whole concept of glad to be here. And I think that that really has been probably the most impactful thing. And then, of course, seeing people that worked on my team go and be successful somewhere else.
So what are some of the things that make people be glad to be here?
Well, I think people want to win, right? So
Yeah.
they want to feel success at the end of the day. So working on projects that have realistic timelines, they're accomplishable, people can meet their goals. And I think that, creating an energy that you can still have fun and
Okay.
laugh and do things during the day that make, because let's face it, we're with people at work more than we are at home, and so making it an environment where people feel comfortable to be themselves and also to win and to get those projects done.
So among our technology leader peers, one of the biggest, I'm going to say, challenges and opportunities today is AI. Something that kind of just showed up about 3 years ago, kind of snuck up on us. I think it snuck up on everybody. How do you approach the use of AI in an organization? And then I guess the broader question is, how do you find the time, the capacity to innovate with AI? Because it's not like AI, you've still got everything else you had before, but now you've got to support all that's going on with this new technology trend. So what's your approach to AI? I'm just curious as how you're approaching it as an organization, as a technology department and team. And then how do you handle it?
Yeah, so I think that you have to be a continuous learner. And so I'm really excited about AI. We're doing some really cool stuff. And every day I feel like my mind is blown with everything that I see and hear. But you have to start, realistically. I think AI has been around for a while. There's been a lot of AI, right? It's just picked up and people are getting more and more comfortable with it. The way that I think about it is, you have to have really strong functional leaders in the organization and particularly in IT. So you think about, as strong leaders, whether it's security, infrastructure, and then, those leaders have to be excited about continuous learning. So I think about AI in terms of being, like you can have it as a coworker or an assistant. It's really something that's additive, right? Whether it's helping develop your code faster, reviewing your security. So I'm really excited about AI, and I think that it's going to transform in the next 5 years, like something that we've never seen before.
So how do you have the capacity for your team to work on it? You still have to keep everything going. You still got your ERP to run. You still got your HRIS system. You still got your network. You got all that stuff that's going on. How do you find the time, or how do you create space for your team and maybe the broader organization to innovate with AI?
I think you have to be deliberate about it and you have to prioritize, right? So for me, it's always been the key to prioritizing. Something that's a priority you're going to focus on. And so, how, as an organization, do you continue to feed the funnel with your priorities? And so, AI for us is a priority. So, we make sure that we schedule time for it, we put projects around it, and that's how we continue. I mean, we still have to keep the lights on, but we prioritize that too. But we have to prioritize it and make sure that we're looking at technology that helps problems that we have. We're not just going to throw AI at it for the sake of throwing it, but we have business problems, and then we have to say, okay, is this a process issue, or is this a technology that can help enable it?
Yeah, it's fascinating to me, the pace of just AI change itself. I've done some, helped out some people that are developing these AI software platforms. And it's incredible how good they've gotten in a relatively short period of time. And so anyway, one of my lingering areas of interest is, at what point do I use an AI software generating platform to replace my ERP system? But anyway, I'll wait for that one. Okay. You and I can work on that one together, Mary.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Most organizations would consider that way too risky. So in your career, okay, imagine this, and this is the reality. Other technology leaders are going to listen to this. They're going to listen and want the advice of Mary. So what do you think have been the key contributors to your success?
Well, I think that it's important to remain calm, because there's a lot of things that can go wrong in technology, IT, right? We have security, system outages. And so we don't want the person that's leading that to be running up and down the halls yelling, right? So I think remaining calm, the team doesn't need panic. They need clarity, and really someone that can help them with the path forward. So I would say that that's really important. Also, to just focus on the business and not technology. That is really going to help you connect with the business and be able to deliver.
So along those lines, oftentimes on our teams, we'll have people who are passionate about the technology. How do you get them to think more about how that benefits or could benefit the business rather than the technology for technology's sake? Have you ever encountered that, where you got somebody who's just like, let me tell you about the wonderfulness of this thing, and you got to help them understand, okay, that's interesting, but.
Sure. So I like to think about it as boots on the ground, right? Who are our stakeholders? And so you've got to take those people that are in your technology team and get them out in the business.
Okay.
So right now I work for a waste company. And so we send people out on truck routes and into our recycling facilities, meeting with people in operations so that they can see where the problems really are, and then get them focused on that.
Yeah, I love that. I call it days in the life. We're going to go out and experience a day in the life of the organization or different parts of the organization. I love that. Okay. Mary, any final advice?
I would just say that enjoy what you do. Focus on, people, because if you have a great team, you're going to be able to accomplish a lot more, and really have empathy for people that are working in the business and get alongside them when it comes to implementing new technology. Communicate. And one of the things I tell my team all the time is, this whole idea of message sent might not be the message received. And so communication can help with that, but also getting alongside people. And if you think that you've communicated enough, you probably have not. You have to communicate more.
Yeah, I love that. I really do. So on today's CIO Unscripted, we've had Mary Wyderski, successful CIO. And the things I picked up from this conversation are a very people-centric approach, meaning relationships with my customers rather than an us versus them, technology versus the business as distinct units. We're together. I'm going to help you. You're going to help me. We're going to spend time together. I'm going to understand your life. And the same for my team. A very people-centric approach to the team. I want the team to be successful. I want them to love what they do. And I got to be honest, I can't imagine it not working. And I think Mary's an example of it, having worked and worked well.
Well, thank you. You've been an amazing mentor and person that I've looked up to for a long time. So this has been absolutely so much fun. Thank you.